For 5 years, I was convinced it was my fault. That wall of ice around their hearts never thawed until one rainy Tuesday night, I opened my husband's old, dusty laptop and found a truth so shocking I never saw it coming. Before we dive into the secret I've carried for all these years, please take a second to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and drop a comment below guessing what the final twist will be. Now, where were we? For 5 years, I carried their hatred like a stone in my gut. I replayed every single conversation, every awkward dinner, just trying to find the one mistake I must have made. I twisted myself into a pretzel trying to be the perfect daughter-in-law, hoping they would finally accept me. But that wall of ice around their hearts never thawed. Then, one rainy Tuesday night, I opened my husband's old, dusty laptop. It was a simple click on a hidden folder, a folder full of photos, that showed me the truth. It wasn't about a mistake I'd made. It was about a betrayal so shocking I never saw it coming. And in that moment, in the cold light of the screen, my world didn't just crack. It shattered. I met Mark in the spring. I know it sounds like a cliché, but our beginning really did feel like a movie. He was charming, smart, and had this laugh that could make you forget every bad thing in your life. With him, I felt seen. I felt safe. I felt understood. We fell in love fast, a total whirlwind that felt as exciting as it was inevitable. When he proposed a year later on a bridge overlooking the city, saying yes felt like the most natural thing in the world. I was going to spend my life with my soulmate. Our life together was pretty much a picture of domestic bliss. We bought a small house with a little garden, adopted a goofy golden retriever, and spent our weekends hiking or digging through antique shops. Mark was an amazing husband. He'd leave little notes on the mirror, bring me coffee in bed, and always knew exactly what to say to pull me out of a funk. I loved him with everything I had. He was my home. But there was a shadow that hung over our happy life, his family. From day one, they made it crystal clear I wasn't welcome. I remember the first time I met them like it was yesterday. It was their weekly Sunday dinner. I spent hours picking out the right dress, practicing nice things in my head, and even brought a homemade apple pie from my grandma's recipe. I walked in, clutching Mark's hand, my heart just pounding. The reaction was instant and ice cold. His mother, Eleanor, gave me a look that wasn't a greeting, it was an appraisal. Her eyes scanned me from head to toe, and then she looked at the pie. "Oh, you didn't have to do that," she said, but her tone meant, "You really shouldn't have." She took it and put it on a side counter, where it sat, completely untouched, for the rest of the night. His father, Richard, a man who seemed carved from stone, gave me a stiff nod and a handshake that felt like closing a business deal. His brother, David, was polite but kept his distance. But it was David's wife, Sarah, who really confused me. She was gorgeous and bubbly, the obvious center of the family's universe. She'd give me the smile that never reached her eyes and talked to me in a voice that was syrupy sweet but had this sharp, dismissive edge to it. God, I tried. 4 or 5 long years, I did everything I could think of. I remembered every birthday, every anniversary, sending thoughtful gifts and perfectly worded cards. I'd offer to help in the kitchen on holidays, and Eleanor would just shoo me away. "Don't you worry about it, dear. Sarah and I have it under control." I learned Richard loved vintage cars and tried to talk to him about them, only to get one-word answers. I complimented Sarah on her clothes, her house, her kids, anything, and all I ever got back were those plastic smiles. Every family get-together was a lesson in being quietly shut out. Conversations would stop the second I walked into a room, and then start up again in whispers. Inside jokes would fly over my head, and when I'd ask what was funny, Mark's mom would just wave a hand and say, "Oh, it's an old family story. You wouldn't get it." I was always on the outside looking in, wondering what on earth I had to do to be let inside. The pain was as constant, dull ache. I'd come home from their house and cry in the shower, so no one would hear me. I'd pick apart every single thing I did or said. Was my dress wrong? Did I say something weird about my job? Did I laugh too loud? I was sure I was somehow fundamentally flawed, that there was something deeply unlovable about me that they could all see and Mark was just blind to. Mark, bless his heart, was stuck in the middle. When I'd break down, he'd wrap me in his arms and make excuses for them. "That's just how they are, honey," he'd say. "Mom's protective, Dad's just quiet." About Sarah, he'd say, "She's always been the family princess. Don't take it personally." He'd promise to talk to them, and maybe he did, but nothing ever changed. Honestly, it felt like they just got colder over the years. They'd forget to invite us to a family barbecue. They'd plan a family vacation and only mention it after all the tickets were booked. At Christmas, Eleanor would give Sarah some beautiful, expensive piece of jewelry and then hand me a generic bath bomb set. The message was always loud and clear: "You are not one of us." The worst part was the way it made me feel crazy. When I'd point out something specific and cruel, Mark would twist it. "Mom didn't mean to be critical, she's just direct." Or, "I'm sure they didn't mean to leave you out of the conversation." He was trying to make me feel better, but it just made me question my own reality. Was I being too sensitive? Was I imagining the malice behind their smiles? I started to believe that I was the problem. So I tried even harder. I smiled bigger, I ignored the snubs, I bought better gifts. It was exhausting, and it slowly chipped away at my confidence. The woman Mark fell in love with was disappearing, replaced by this anxious people-pleaser who was terrified of her in-laws. The day my world fell apart started not with a random burst of energy, but with a plan. It was a rainy Tuesday, and Mark was on a 2-day business trip. The house was dead quiet. To the outside world, I was tackling chores I'd been putting off. I organized the pantry. Then I faced the attic. I pulled down the creaky ladder and climbed up into the dust. I knew exactly what I was looking for. Tucked in a corner, behind a bunch of my old childhood photo albums, was a black laptop bag. It was Mark's old laptop from college. Forgotten by him, but not by me. What looked like a weird impulse was actually the final, calculated step of a 6-month investigation. The little whisper in my mind wasn't a whisper at all, it was a roar. The answer wasn't maybe in there. I knew it was. My heart started to thump, not from guilt, but from adrenaline. I had crossed the line months ago. This was just about gathering the last piece of evidence. I set the laptop on the coffee table, found the charger I'd located weeks ago, and plugged it in. The machine whirred to life. It asked for a password. I didn't try his current one. I didn't try his birthday. I typed in Buddy23. He told me that story years ago, and I never forgot a thing. Access granted. The old desktop popped up. Cluttered. Normal. But my eyes went right to the Documents folder. I was looking for a single folder, one named so discreetly it was designed to be ignored. A single period. Dot. An old trick to hide things in plain sight. My mouth was dry. My hand was steady as I moved the mouse. Took a deep breath and double-clicked. The folder opened to a long list of image files, hundreds of them, named by date. The first one was dated almost 10 years ago, 2 years before I met Mark. I clicked. A younger Mark, grinning, with his arm around a girl. A picnic. A beach. A Christmas tree. It was a serious relationship he'd never mentioned. I scrolled down through the years, and then I stopped. The photo that made me feel the air suck out of my lungs. A face I recognized, laughing, head thrown back. It was Sarah, his brother David's wife, my sister-in-law. It was unmistakably her. The dates confirmed it. Mark and Sarah had dated first, long before she married his brother. The secrecy was a start, but it wasn't the whole story. The dates kept going, past their marriage, past the day Mark and I met. My blood ran cold. With a trembling finger, I clicked on a photo dated just 4 years ago, a year into our marriage. It was from the annual family barbecue. I remember that day. I tried so hard with my potato salad. In the photo, Mark and Sarah stood behind the big oak tree, where they thought no one could see them. Her hand was on his chest. His lips were inches from hers, a look of intense longing on his face. They weren't just an old couple with a past. They were still in love. Nausea washed over me. I clicked another photo, dated 2 years ago. Christmas. The Christmas I cried myself to sleep. The photo showed Mark handing Sarah a small, beautifully wrapped jewelry box. He was looking at her like she was the only woman in the world. It all clicked into place with a horrifying, deafening crash. It was never about me. I wasn't the problem, I was the obstacle. They didn't hate me for who I was. They hated me because I was the woman Mark had married instead of Sarah. I scrolled further. Photos from family events I was never invited to. The whole family, Eleanor, Richard, David, Mark, and Sarah, laughing on the back porch. And Eleanor was looking at them, at her son and her daughter-in-law, with a soft, approving smile. She was encouraging it. They were all in on it. But they thought the drama was over when I walked out that night. They had no idea my real plan had just begun. You see, the laptop wasn't a discovery. It was confirmation. The real story started 6 months ago with a misplaced bank statement I found in Mark's home office. It was for an account I didn't recognize, filled with regular, unexplained transfers from the family's construction business, a business Richard had built and trusted both his sons to help run. I hired a private investigator. The affair was the first thing he uncovered. Easy. Predictable. But I told him to keep digging. The money was the real story. Mark and Sarah weren't just lovers, they were partners. For 3 years, they'd been siphoning money from the company, overbilling for materials and pocketing the difference, funneling it into their secret account. A nest egg for a future they were planning behind everyone's backs. Eleanor knew. She wasn't just the family matriarch. She was their accomplice, helping them cook the books. David and his father, Richard, were completely in the dark. The hatred towards me wasn't just because I took Sarah's place. It was because my presence was a threat to their entire fraudulent operation. I didn't move from the couch. I sat there, the laptop open, displaying the photo from behind the oak tree. The house was quiet. My rage had cooled into a calm, sharp certainty. Hours passed. At 10 p.m., keys jingled at the door. "Honey, I'm home." Mark called out. His smile vanished when he saw me, then the laptop. Color drained from his face. What is this?" he stammered. "You shouldn't be going through my things, Anna." "Is it?" I said, my voice unnervingly calm. "I wonder if it's a greater invasion than living a lie for our entire marriage." He started with the excuses. "Old photos. It's not what it looks like. You're twisting this." I clicked through the evidence. The Christmas gift. The work dinner, that was a date. He sank into a chair, his head in his hands, crying pathetic, broken sobs. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I do love you. It's just complicated. The family, they made it so easy." "They made it easy," I repeated, the words tasting like poison. "Get your coat. We're going to your parents' house." "What?" "No." "Anna, don't. There's nothing left for us to talk about," I said, the steel in my voice leaving no room for argument. "But I have a few things to say to your family. You can either come with me, or I'll go alone. But either way, this ends tonight." An hour later, we were all in their formal living room. David, confused. Sarah, terrified. Eleanor, already on the defensive. I put the laptop on the coffee table. "For 5 years," I began, "I've wondered what I did wrong. Why you all hated me. Tonight I found out." I turned the laptop and showed them the photos. The stolen moments. The affair. David made a choking sound. "No," Sarah cried. "We just talk." But it was Eleanor who gave the game away. "You see," she spat, rounding on me with pure rage. "You see what you've done. You've ruined this family. We were fine until you came along, digging up things that should have been left alone." I let out a broken, disbelieving laugh. "Fine. You were enabling an emotional affair. You tormented an innocent person to protect your sick fantasy. You weren't fine. You were rotten. To the core." I turned to Mark. "We're done." I looked at David, the other true victim in this. Then I turned, walked out of that house, and never looked back. That was the performance. The real act of vengeance came the next morning. While Mark was blowing up my phone with apologies and Eleanor was sending texts dripping with venom, I was at a post office. I mailed 2 identical, anonymous packages. One went to the IRS, containing meticulously organized copies of the secret bank statements, evidence of the fraudulent billing, and a detailed breakdown of the embezzlement scheme. The other package went to David. It contained the same financial documents, but on top, I placed the photos from the laptop. Proof of motive. Proof that his wife and brother were not only stealing from him, but had been planning to build a new life on the ruins of his. I filed for divorce immediately. The fallout was biblical. The IRS audit froze all of their assets. David, armed with undeniable proof of both betrayals, not only divorced Sarah but sued her and Mark for fraud, dismantling the family business to salvage what he could. Richard, seeing his life's work destroyed and his family name in ruins, had a complete breakdown. They lost everything. The house, the business, their reputation. The perfect family, built on secrets, couldn't survive the truth. It's been a year. I have my own apartment. It's bright, and it's all mine. Healing wasn't easy, but the greatest gift their betrayal gave me was myself. I had spent so long trying to be someone else, I'd forgotten who I was. I destroyed them. I used their own corruption to burn their world to the ground, and I did it without ever raising my voice. There's a part of me that wonders if that made me as cold and calculating as they were. But then I remember the woman who cried in the shower, the woman who thought she was unlovable, and I know I didn't seek justice. I merely delivered the consequences they had earned. It wasn't revenge. It was a reckoning. And now I'm finally free. If this story left you speechless, smash that like button right now. Tell me in the comments, was justice served, or did I go too far? And don't forget to subscribe. You won't want to miss next week's chilling confession.